Hey, welcome back to The Dive. Our guest today has extensive experience with international mining companies. He's going to deep dive into interest rates, uranium, junior mining, Spain's mining environment, metals that will drive the company's growth, and of course, key milestones that investors should know over the near term. He's one of the directors of Merida Minerals. Rahim Allani is joining us today. But before we bring him on, do me one quick favor and go ahead and smash that subscribe button, please. Hey, Rahim, welcome to The Dive.
How's it going?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Doing excellent. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad that you could join us today. So let's start off with interest rates. The Fed raised its key short-term interest rates by a 1/4 percentage point, the first time since December 2018. How do you interpret the market's reaction? Do you think that this will have an impact on the current inflation?
Well, it's interesting because they also announced that they're going to have 6 more this year. So when you take that into account, seven rate changes, which is sort of unprecedented, and you're looking at inflation where there's numbers that are sort of zero growth inflation. So when you put those two things together, I mean, as much as the market can price it in, you've got to have some concerns about where the world is going and how that affects sort of the world that we play in, which is the equities world.
Now, Russia accounts for 35% of the world's enriched uranium supply. And this week, a bill to ban imports of Russian uranium was introduced by 4 senators. Do you think the US can permanently remove all Russian energy from the American marketplace? How closely are you following uranium?
So just generally as the commodity sectors, you look at oil and gas and you look at uranium, both and to an extent nickel. These are all commodities that do come out of Russia, and Russia's a big supply of. So, again, I think people have priced in to a certain extent. That's why you've seen the price of energy bop up, and it's actually come back down. And to see a trade move that quickly, there is some level of market pricing in that's already taken place. And again, how that correlates into equities. Uranium is one where you're going to have to do sanctions like this, and what that'll do to pricing. It's tough to say what will become of that, because there are a few other countries that can still reasonably supply both uranium and oil and gas. So again, to see what Russia will do, to see how countries respond to what's happening. There are opportunities though for other countries to up their supplies and pick up some of that slack that's been there, that will come because of what Russia's done. So it'll be interesting to see how other countries respond to the opportunity.
Definitely. Okay, so we know that you have a background in junior mining. Do you think that this is a time for investors to be focusing on junior mining companies, or should they be waiting for the majors to catch a bid?
It's a great question. Again, being a small cap guy, I always say that there is no wrong time to be in small caps. They're always a great opportunity if you find the right ones. And again, I think just again on this comment of being priced in, I think with the price of gold, the price of oil, the price of other commodities, those are starting to get priced in at the large cap side. And once you see that get priced in at the large cap side is when you start to see it move down into the small cap side. And so, before that pricing begins to trickle down, in my opinion, it's always a great time to get into small caps when that pricing hasn't come down and touched into the junior golds and the junior oils and the junior base metals.
Now, shifting to Merida Minerals, for our guests new to the story, could you give us the high-level overview of the company?
Sure. Merida was founded about 2.5, 3 years ago. The chairman and CEO, his name is Brewster. Norm I've known for several years, and his big win was his largest win was in Spain at Iberian Minerals. He founded that, ended up selling it for $996 million. It's still the largest base metals operation in Western Europe. So
Wow.
when you look at that, and I sort of told Norm early on, if you found something that would be of that level of interest, to let us know, and he did. So we invested early on with them. I joined the board, as did a couple other guys that he had from his time at Iberian. And the working theory is sort of, he did it once, and let's see if he can do it again. And we told him if he found a property that merited that level of interest, similar to what Iberian was, to let us know, and he did. And yeah, we've been working on it with him for a couple of years now, and it's time to go public. And we're going to look at a lot of opportunities out of Western Europe, and particularly in Spain.
Mm-hmm. Now, what can you tell us about Spain, specifically Extremadura, as a mining environment?
Yeah, so and again, the reason that we liked the idea of what Spain is, because there are other countries, and I don't want to name any names, but you go into some of these other countries where there is a small likelihood up to a large likelihood that the government may interfere with your mining operations, and we didn't want that to be the case. So again, we look at stable mining jurisdictions, and if you go off the top of your head, you're looking Canada, US, Australia, Spain, Portugal. There aren't too many countries where you can look and say, yeah, you know what, there's very limited governmental risk, and in addition, governmental support. So Extremadura has been very pro mining, pro business, and we've had the pleasure of meeting with the government there a few times. And yeah, they're quite keen on seeing projects continue to grow. So we are bullish on, again, Spain as a country and Extremadura as a region. We think there are a lot of opportunities that will come, not just from Merida, but from other companies as well. And we're quite happy to see other companies coming into Extremadura.
Mm-hmm. The Plubla de la Reina project represents a copper, zinc, lead, massive sulfide ore body. Out of all the metals that you intend to mine, and based on your view of the macro environment, which of these metals do you think will drive the story as you roll out?
I definitely think it's going to be the zinc copper side of things. The reason that we liked that asset originally is there were some original assays. It was worked on twice, one by the Spanish government, once by a company called Urocumpo. And when you look at the grades, and the last time they, explored there was about 20 years ago, and the price of zinc wasn't conducive, nor was the technology to extract zinc conducive. So it's just anecdotally, the town that we're in, just in Puebla, there's about 150 people, 2 restaurants, and a church. Quite frankly, it's a small little town. And the owner of one of the restaurants, we were speaking with him, and he sort of asked us what we were doing there and why we were there, and we told him. And he said, he used to work on that project, 25 years ago. And he was shocked that no one had come back to look at it. So when we heard just anecdotally that, like, we can look at the numbers, we can look at the rock, we can try and figure it out. But when you hear that, he's like, I've seen it, I know the zinc, and the grades are phenomenal. So so we were excited about what that could be. With the way the world is going, people are quite caught up in things like gold, for obvious reasons, but also sort of the battery metals, because they believe, when there's more Teslas, you're going to need all the different battery metals that are out there, which is true, but you need more copper than anything else to get your vehicle built. So you're going to need a lot of copper. We are, again, very bullish on copper. You can look at the charts and see what copper's 5-year trend has been. We think there's a phenomenal opportunity in copper. And again, we think the zinc grades and what zinc's trading at are again, just 2 massive opportunities. So zinc, copper for sure.
So one more thing before we let you go here. What are the big events or milestones investors should be watching out for in the near term?
Again, a great question, especially for a small cap company. There are always a number of opportunities to look out for. Obviously, the go public is our first big event. We will look at additional opportunities and sort of follow Norm's footprint and blueprint for what he did with Iberian, which was develop his core property and then look at adding on additional properties. There are a few, large players that are in Spain that we know of, and we believe they'll be looking at junior players as well and junior early stage opportunities. So we can look to maybe be acquisitive and grab a couple of those. That'll be awesome. We're going to definitely do some drilling work on site. We're going to twin a bunch of holes. We're going to reassay some core. We're going to do some aviation studies. So we're quite optimistic on what's there. Again, because of COVID, we actually haven't been to Spain in 2 years. So our geos have been working there, but we're excited to get back there. We're excited to see what the other opportunities are in country. And we're excited to, get the drills going, get the workers going, and get results, because that's, as a junior mining company, you are as good as your results say you are. So if we can get some really good grades on the zinc and the copper, those will bode extremely well. And then just again, if you look at the macro level, when the price of copper and the price of zinc move, you look at the majors, and if they start running out of supply, they're going to be looking at juniors who have access to great projects. So we're sort of trying to set ourselves up to be that company that's got a little bit of everything for everybody.
Okay, great. Very exciting. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story with us, Rahim.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. We'll be back again tomorrow, but in the meantime, why don't you check out one of our other videos?